Hello scrapbookers, this is Megan and I am back today with a Get It Scrapped layout. So for this layout, my assignment was to learn about the project called Humans of New York, where it is a photographer who started out walking around New York and just photographing people on the streets of New York, and eventually it turned into a project where he would just go throughout the world, photograph people, and learn about their stories, their life stories, and the stories that they wanted to tell. And he, I think it's a guy, takes these gorgeous photos of these people. I will leave a link below to the website so that you can go and take a look. I read some of the stories and it's just amazing the things that these people go through. Okay, so now here you can see I kind of started out with a background and it was arrows, and then I turned that one over and I liked the polka dots on the back, but then I eventually just came to just wanting the focus to be the photos, because obviously that's what Honey photography is about, is focusing on the subject. And for this layout, I asked my son Brennan if I could, take some photos of him and scrapbook a layout specifically about him and something that he really enjoys these days. And one of his favorite TV shows right now is Lego Ninjago. He usually watches this after school every single day. It's on Netflix, so he can, watch it every day. Unlike when I was a child, I didn't have Netflix. So anyway, that was totally off the subject. I decided to take some photos of him playing with his little Lego Ninjagos, and I really, I just had fun with the photos. And then I also took a photo of just him. So my idea with this layout was to just kind of do a little bit of mixed media on the background. So I just used my palette knife and just spread across some dazzlers. And that color that I used is called Coral Me Crazy, and it is from Shimmer's Paints. So here I'm just drying it with my heat gun. I wanted to make sure it was dry so that when I used this other texture paste, they wouldn't smudge together and make a funky color. Not that I think that this dark navy blue would really make it a funky color, but I just wanted them to be two separate spreads of paint. Excuse me. So this second color is from Shimmer's Paints as well. It's a textures, and it's called Teal Me No Lies. It's kind of like a navy blue. It's a really pretty color. I really love it. It didn't spread on as easily as the Dazzlers just because it's got more texture to it, and so it was a little bit harder to spread on, but I really do love these two colors together, and I like how the layout turned out. So you can see here I am being impatient. I don't want to wait for it to dry, so I'm drying it with my heat gun. And then I'm going to start layering my photos with papers and things. And that Wild About You little card is actually from the an Amy Tangerine collection, which I cannot think of the name of it for the life of me at this moment. But if you go on the Get It Scrapped blog, I do have my supply list on there. And you can also see the other design team members that created layouts for this assignment as well. Okay, so my idea is to put the photo of just Brennan up there at the top of the photos, and then to have that Wild About You underneath it. I also had these Amy Tangerine rub-ons that I wanted to use, so I'm going to use a couple flowers in a few different spots on the layout, and then I'm also going to use some sequins and some pattern papers. Okay, so here you can see I've pulled out this yellow pattern paper, and this is from the Posh collection that was made by Simple Stories last year. This is really one of my favorite collections that they've made recently within the last year. I just cut a very small border, and then I'm going to put each one of these photos of Brennan playing with his toys on the same background, and those photos are each, I think they're 2 by 2. A couple of them turned out a little bit smaller than 2 by 2, but I just kind of go with it. It doesn't bother me that they're all pretty much different sizes. So here I'm just kind of figuring out the placement that I want to do. I really do like this one on the bottom, but I didn't want it to cover up so much of the photo, so I cut it down to fit on this teeny tiny scrap, and it worked out so perfect to go right there. And now here I'm just going to glue the last photo down, and then my photos will be all ready to be glued down. And I'm being kind of fussy with the with the mats on the photos. That's like the 4th time I've picked that one up. Oh goodness, sometimes I just go crazy, right? Okay, so now behind the photo, I did want the photo of Brennan to stand out a little bit more just because this layout is about him. And so this photo, I really love this photo. It's kind of a random photo. I needed to get this assignment done because I'm horrible about waiting until the last minute. Like, I think this was a Friday. I took these photos that Friday morning before I took him to school, and then I came home and I scrapbooked this layout, and it was due on Sunday. So I am so awful about doing that all the time. Okay, so here I'm going to cut out a couple more of these floral rub-ons, and I'm going to put one right there. I was kind of afraid how it would come off because it's mostly on top of that textures paint, and it actually came off really, really well. I was very pleased. So that was kind of cool. A little test, and it did not fail, which is always nice. So here I'm inking the edges on all the photos, and I think I'm going to try to glue them down, but they're not going to stick because of that mixed media. And so later on I'm going to have to come back and use some like heavy duty glue on it. Okay, so here I had this border rub-on piece, and I really liked the way that looks. So I'm going to put that up there in the top right-hand corner, and then I'm also going to do a bunch of other embellishing up there as well. And I really had so much fun embellishing this whole layout. If you follow me, you will know that I'm not a huge embellisher, and I don't really layer a whole lot either. And this layout really isn't layered a whole lot, but it was embellished a lot. So that was kind of a fun change for me. So here you can see I'm just cutting a few of these papers into banner shapes. And I'm going to glue those up in that top left-hand corner for one of the clusters. And at first I was thinking I would do it all the way up at the top, but then as I set them down on the page, I realized that I liked them being a little bit down from the top of the page so that you could still kind of see that border, the rub-on border that I had glued down. Okay, so now I'm going to do some more of the rub-ons. This layout is super rub-on heavy. I rarely ever use rub-ons, so this was kind of fun for me. So here I'm just cutting it in half, not really in half, but I'm going to cut it a little bit. I'm going to put it right there, and then that excess floral piece I'm going to put on the far left-hand side. So there you can see I'm doing that little teeny tiny piece. It fit perfectly right there. Don't you just love it when things happen like that? I just think that's so fun. Okay, so now here I'm really trying to use up a lot of these rub-ons because I have heard that rub-ons don't, like these modern day ones, I feel really weird saying modern day rub-ons. The rub-ons made these days do not last very long, and I have had these rub-ons for probably about a year now, maybe 6 months, and so I'm wanting to use them up because I don't know how much longer they will last. Here's some more flowers and a heart. I'm going to put down there in that little cluster. And let's see, I'm going to ink the edges on this little card. And that is actually going to end up being my title, is that Wild About You card. So here now I'm going to start gluing everything down. I am really pleased with how this layout is turning out, and I'm so excited to just tell this story. It's not like a huge story or anything that is life-changing. Like I showed it to my husband after I was done, and he was like, that's like a really weird story for you to tell. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it would be kind of fun for Brennan and even for me to look back and, you know, see, oh, he really loved this TV show or these toys or whatever, you know. It's kind of fun. Like, I wish I had a mom that had scrapbooks so that I could see things that I liked as a kid. I mean, she took photos and things, so I have photos from when I was a kid, but I don't really have any explanation of things that I liked, you know? So here I'm using some ephemera from the Click Kits. I think this was their December kit. And I'm just going to ink the edges on all of these ephemera pieces, and then I'm going to glue them down. So I'm going to have 3 different cluster areas. I have that one by the title with the floral area, the rub-ons. Then I have that one right above those small photos with the word love, and then I'm going to do this flower rub-on, and I'm going to add some sequins from the Spiegel Mom Scrap Shop, and they are in Too Cool for You or something like that. Too Cool for You, yeah. And I'm adding a heart rub-on there. And then the other cluster area is obviously up in the left-hand corner. I just realized that I did not record the rest of the embellishing, so you will see those photos right here. I hope that you enjoyed this layout and that you will come on over to the Get It Scrapped blog. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!